McGregor Wood is in Washington, D.C., though, and we can go to him now live. Simon, what's the situation there in the nation's capital?
Well, mounting anxiety and excitement. We are desperate to get our teeth into some of these early poll closings, to start having a look at some of these early returns. In the meantime, all I've got are two guys from different parts of the political spectrum. I've got Lindsay Lewis, the Executive Director of the Progressive Policy Institute. I'm going to call you the Democrat guy, if you don't mind, Lindsay. And I've got Christopher Harris, the Executive Director of Unhyphenated America. I'm going to call you the Republican guy. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, conservative's better, but Republican.
All I've been hearing about since I got here on Saturday is the importance of high turnout.
Yes.
Looking at reading the tea leaves today on turnout, it looks that we do have a high turnout. Why is it so important to Hillary Clinton that she gets people out?
It is, and it's not just the high turnout, it's where the turnout is. And she is doing extremely well in Broward County, Florida, and down in the southern parts of Florida. You're seeing a huge turnout in Raleigh, North Carolina. These are places that Hillary needs to get the vote to run up the score before the rural votes start coming in later. But the turnout is clearly heading in Hillary's direction, and she got it was not the same coalition as Obama, but she built a coalition that came out today.
Quietly confident from her camp, as far as you know?
Extremely.
Okay. What about the other side? Why is it so important that Trump gets lots of people voting for him, and whose votes does he need?
Well, it's pretty much been said that the Clinton camp, for example, or Democrats in general, have not won the white male vote in, gosh, multiple election cycles. She needs to get some of those. I mean, she needs to get a fairly decent percentage of some of the early exit polls I've heard with African Americans. I think that's the most important part, and I don't particularly care much for the term African American. I call myself black, but you know, for argument's sake, we'll say African Americans. She definitely needs the African American vote. And here's one of the things I'm hearing, Simon. African Americans are not turning out in the numbers that they need them to turn out.
Now, they don't like her as much as they like Obama.
No, not at all. And you know, basically they're looking at what has been done, and they're looking at what's happened over the past 8 years, and the fact that what we know is that Hillary will be a continuation of what was done during the Obama years.
We've just had some of these national network exit polls released. There are some startling headline numbers in it. They basically show the extent to which this political landscape, this country, is terribly, terribly divided.
Yes.
We have Trump hugely dominant amongst white male voters without a degree. We have Clinton hugely dominant of people under 30. If whoever's going to win, the big task, perhaps the impossible task, will be drawing all these little constituency groups together to make a working nation, surely.
I completely agree, and this is going to be the difficult task for Hillary as she wakes up tomorrow morning. She's going to have to bring the country together and find a way that involves the folks that, you know, Mr. Trump is going to get 60 million votes, 55 million, 60 million votes tonight. She has to find a way to bring them into the fold.
They're angry people, aren't they?
They are angry, and it's not just an American problem. This is a global problem. We are going through massive changes in our economy, and she has to address that, and she has to bring those people into the fold. I will disagree with you slightly. On a previous comment about the black vote turnout, I think you'll see as of tonight that she has exceeded Obama from 2012 in key states. But Simon, you are right that tomorrow morning, Hillary Clinton is President of the United States. She needs to find a way to reach out to all Americans.
And what we've been hearing from Donald Trump, even as recently as Monday, was that he's not particularly interested in reaching out. I didn't hear any unity message from him yesterday. I heard a little bit from Clinton. Can Trump unify the nation?
Well, I think he can be unified around economic issues. I mean, at the end of the day, we have, what, 94 million people in America? I mean, when you look at the real unemployment numbers, you know, the U6 number, not just the U4, because the U4 is not a real number. I mean, it doesn't take into account, I think it's upwards of 96 million people who are not working right now. A lot of those people do want to work, but there's no jobs out there, or the jobs that have been added as of recently have been lower paying, working at Starbucks or McDonald's, and they're not even full-time jobs. So the interesting thing is what can be done to jumpstart the economy, and one of the best things that can be done is to reduce taxes, is also to just cut back on regulation. People, small business, and you had a great article, by the way, Lindsay, about the importance of small business. What would Hillary Clinton do to incentivize small business?
Surely kickstarting the economy, giving jobs to the people who are supporting him, that's not going to be enough to iron out all the polarizing things that he's thrown into this campaign, surely.
Exactly, and I think, Christopher, with all due respect, hatred is not a way to unite the country. And that's what Trump is run on. And, you know, God forbid if he woke up tomorrow morning as president, he cannot unite this country. Hillary Clinton can, and it will be about growth and jobs and income for and security around the world. But Trump is run as a hatred as his central theme, and you cannot unite this country that way. Hillary has the opportunity to do it. I'm not saying necessarily she will take all the opportunity and run with it, but the hope of tonight and tomorrow morning is the United States rejected hatred, and they chose Hillary Clinton, and let's see what she can do with it.
I want to introduce another issue that's come up today. I feel a little bit sensitive about possibly beating up on Donald Trump too much, but he has been talking, usually through Fox News, introducing elements of doubt about the legitimacy of the process today. He's been talking about reports of votes being switched from Republican to Democrats. He waded in pretty heavily on this issue of late voting in Nevada, about a machine that doesn't seem to be working in a county in Utah. And then, as recently as this morning voting, he said, let's wait and see what the result brings. He doesn't inspire confidence. Christopher, your man, possibly pushing the bounds of this process by saying those kinds of things, do you think?
Well, I mean, I think there's been enough irregularities throughout the last decade or so in voting that we should want to take a look at things. We should want to
come up today, though, has it? Really? I mean, there's no evidence of systematic.
Well, it depends upon what sources you're listening to. For example, this morning I was listening to the WMAL, one of the local stations, and people were calling in from all over the country, and some people were reporting that they were having issues, or they were seeing people being able to vote without, like one gentleman in Maryland.
So he's got a point.
He has a valid point, but you have to be able to listen to all the different sources, to hear those things. And listen, if the results are overwhelming, I think that Mr. Trump it would be in the best interest to say, hey, you know what?
Okay. But if it's close, like him, you're saying let's wait and see. I mean, that's Lindsay.
Mrs. Clinton, but if it's more close,
talk, isn't it?
I think Mrs. Clinton would also say, well, let's double check. I mean, and
I'm going to give. I want Lindsay to get in on this. Okay. I think you made a point. I want you to respond to that. I mean, it is an issue, isn't it?
It's a real issue, and I think Donald Trump has done a disservice to our democracy by the way he's talked about it and the way he's addressed it. We're trying to have 140 million people probably vote tonight. You're going to have hiccups, but you cannot delegitimize the election like Mr. Trump has. There have been problems for 100 years with our voting system, but they are minor problems. And he needs to accept tonight, I think early, and say that I've lost this election and we need to come together as a country starting tomorrow morning and not bring up these issues.
All right. Well, I guess it's not going to be an issue if he wins, right?
Well, yeah.
So,
it's not an issue. I appreciate your confidence there, Lindsay. Two things. Number one,
I've got to push you for time.
It's not a democracy. The United States is a republic.
Okay.
And also, always people, they use that term democracy very loosely. And the United States has never been a democracy. It's a republic. But once again, voting is one of the most important things that we do, and we should double check. Every other area, you double and you triple check.
All right.
So why not with voting?
I hate to do this. I spend my whole time doing this. We've run out of time. There is so much more to discuss, and in an hour or two, we will have real results to discuss, and perhaps get a better sense of which way this election campaign is finally gone. Back to you in Istanbul.